get us started and we'll see. All right. So welcome to the December Design Review Committee meeting. I'm going to call the roll to confirm that our DRC members are present. Omari Davis is excused, as is Robert Dudka, Alex Foster, present, and Andrew Wendell.
Here.
Perfect. All right. DRC meetings are held in person and streamed simultaneously to allow commissioners, applicants, and the public to attend online. For members of the board and applicants joining us this evening, if board members or applicants lose internet connectivity during today's meeting, please reconnect with us via the dial-in phone option. Applicants, please keep your devices muted and your video turned off until your item is under review. When called upon to speak, you must unmute yourself by clicking on the microphone icon that is located on your meeting command bar. The command bar will appear if you move your cursor down toward the bottom of your screen. We do not have the ability to unmute you. If you are dialing in by phone, press *6 to unmute. The meeting chat is active for participants who need technical assistance and should not be used for questions. The public may observe the meetings, but participation in the discussion is limited to applicants and members of the HALRB during this meeting. Public comment is welcome at the HALRB meeting. Information about signing up as a speaker or submitting a public comment for that meeting is available on the HALRB website. Lastly, this is a public forum. Today's meeting will be recorded and posted to the county website. All information associated with today's meeting, whether written or spoken, is subject to the Freedom of Information Act requirements. Okay, so I'm going to move us on to our first project. Share my screen. Just do this so everyone can see it. Okay, so our first agenda item is 3421 21st Avenue. This is located in Maywood, and this is for COA 2131D. This is an amendment to a project that Mr. Colin Uckert is undertaking at this property, and I believe he is online. And did RJ join us yet? Okay. All right. So there are 3 different elements to this project. I'm going to run through them quickly, and then Mr. Uckert, if you had anything you'd like to add, you can do so at that time. So the first element of the project is the front door. So this is the front of the house, the front entryway, and this is the door that's installed currently. So this would be a retroactive approval. The door that was originally approved was this one. Oops. You see here. So it was a wood door with 6 lights. What the applicant has installed is this door, and you can see it here. So it's a 9-light door. And so that's why it would be retroactive. It's already in place. The other elements of this project is the front. Actually, let me take you to this page here. So you can see from this stamped plan what the entryway should have looked like with, do you mind that? Thank you. With the railing. So they were supposed to be metal railing, painted metal railing, but what the applicant has installed instead are these wood railings, and they're only on either side of the front entrance. So there's like a patio space, or not really a patio, but a little landing with the railings on either side, and then no railing on the front stairs. You can see it better here.
Just a quick clarification, is it painted before, or is it it's on the floor?
I'm not sure, but we could ask.
Hello.
Hi, can you hear us?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, RJ. Can you hear us? RJ, can you hear us? Okay. So then the last part of the project, and then we can get into the discussion a bit more.
Hello.
the fence. So the original COA for this project included this privacy fence, but the applicant they're no longer interested in building the fence. The HALRB.
Oh, good. I'm glad you can hear me. I can't hear you. I'm so sorry. I don't know how to unmute you.
Okay. So the HALRB can't require that they build the fence. The reason it's part of this application is more for our like record keeping to understand why it wasn't constructed as part of the original project. But so that's why it's.
Sorry, y'all. It says I'm unmuted. I don't know what to do.
Hey, RJ, can you hear me? You can't hear me.
I apologize. I'm hopeless.
So this
All right,
is
I'll
Colin.
do that.
This is Colin. If you'd like me to jump in, I can. So
Please
if
feel
it's,
free.
I'm sorry.
Please feel free to do so.
Okay, great. Thank
Hello?
you. Yeah. So just
Hello?
quickly on the three changes here. So I decided that the door with the additional windows would be a nicer look, and it would be consistent with
Hello? How about now?
the rear door at the basement.
Sorry, hold on, Mr. Uckert. I apologize for interrupting you. Mr. West, can you hear us? All right. Sorry, Mr. Uckert. Let me know again.
That's fine.
I appreciate it. Hold on.
Technical problems. So that's the first thing. And then as far as the railings, you know, we thought that the wooden railings would be more in keeping with the age of the home, and they are consistent with the railings at the balance of the home on the screen porch and on the rear patio. So we thought going with wood rather than the metal that was indicated would be as I said, more consistent with the historic nature. And then in terms of the fence, you know, I just thought that at the time we were planning this, I thought that some privacy back there would be nice. And frankly, having gone through the process and met with some of the neighbors, particularly the ones across the street, I'd rather just landscape there and not have the fence. So more of an open feel and probably an easier way to use the entirety of the yard rather than to segment it into two portions of it, one that's sort of public and one that's truly private. So I'm hoping that the removal of the fence is a non-issue. And that's pretty much all I have.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that further explanation. All right, DRC, any thoughts, questions for the applicant?
Sure. I mean, privacy fence, that makes a lot of sense. Landscaping should be great. Just out of curiosity, what are the Maywood guidelines for the front door and the front entry railings? Are there any? Yeah.
So there's no like specific door that they would have to use in the front. It's mostly about the materials, and since it's a wood door, then it meets the basic requirements. Yeah, there aren't any that I'm aware of at the moment, any specific requirements for what railings have to be. It's more kind of what fits the styling of the neighborhood, the materials used, and they're made of wood. So
that sounds like both of those are appropriate. I would like to see the railings come down the stairs, which I think proportionally, and that does look appropriate. But I don't think that's a requirement.
And was the railing going down the stairs, was that a part of the previous? That was, okay.
Yeah. So just the way it is now, it's without it painted, without connecting to the railing, it looks a little, the stairs look a little bit separated from the house.
okay.
Can I jump in a second? I can't, that particular stair with the number of steps, I think code the required handrail on both sides. That's, I think that would have been more typical.
So
That's actually, I think it's the building code. I think that's, looks like it's,
I don't know if that's true for a residential application.
I think it is. I think that's about 30 inches. So, I think,
let's see if Mr. West can maybe answer.
Yeah.
Mr. West, can you hear us at all now?
So if he can't hear, we've had some discussions about the railings coming down the steps, and the absence of the railing there is code compliant because of the height of the steps in total. And again, this is my attempt at an aesthetic being more welcoming by not having the railings there and having the door with the additional windows. The county building code doesn't require it, and so I'd prefer not to put it in there.
Any other questions?
well, I'd like to research this myself. And have you got the total height from the?
I don't have the total height off.
to the-
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing. I don't have the total height offhand, but I'm sure RJ can provide that to us if he's able to join or after the call.
What's your question about the total height?
I think the handrails were dark. No, have to double check. But
Okay.
on the
But I think
projects on projects I've worked on, that would be. For that reason, I'd like to suggest that we not put this on the scene. With the tickets. The board, will give me time to check.
I would be inclined to have the project applicant double check the code requirement.
Yeah,
Sounds
they
like
do it,
to-
or
yeah.
we can do it, we can contact to confirm it, and let's say that it's confirmed that it's not required. Would you then need this to go to discussion? Maybe this goes to consent agenda, if it's not a required element?
If it's not required, I guess, I think that really,
Hello?
we don't have any pictures of the original house. Do we? Or,
Not up here right now, but let me.
because I think that there were handrails on the porch. That's an old, it's been modified. It's an old, was
Yeah, but if there was, were there, Mr. Eckert, were there handrails there that you had removed?
There were handrails present when I bought the house. They were probably 1970s vintage, but those were necessary because the grade from the yard up to the landing was steeper than what it is now. We've raised the grade at the front of the home, so we've reduced it from 5 steps to 3. And we've had the Arlington County inspector out there to measure at what height we need the handrail, and we fall just short of the requirement. And like I said, reducing it by 2 steps, I don't feel the need to replace the what was the metal handrails that were there when I bought it.
Hello, can you all hear me now?
Yes?
I'm so sorry. Look, I have no excuse. I'm technologically challenged. This is RJ West, and I have no excuse. So, but I would like to offer whatever I can on this. The handrails we did construct are the ones that you can see on the side there, where they are required, comes directly from the Maywood guidelines. So all of the white wood railings on the house are taken from the A47 on the Maywood guidelines. And we were advised by Arlington County that we did not, in fact, need railings in the front because of the reasons that Colin described, because we're under 30 inches there, and they were not the original railings from the Maywood guidelines at all. You see the guidelines right there. That is exactly how we constructed the railings everywhere on this property.
What is the height of your steps?
30 inches from
So
grade to the platform to the stoop.
Okay. I still want to make a real issue of this, but I want to check it. I think that I'm uncomfortable when everyone else is but I'm uncomfortable with the recommendation. Because I think the code used to be 40 inches. I count the steps, I count 4 steps that are probably at least 7 inches. And it's 28, but they say it's 30. I still think it's required students.
Would you be comfortable looking into that by the end of the week for yourself and then getting back to me? And if it is up to code, that it could go on the consent agenda then?
Yes, I mean, I think that the fact that there were handrails here before is part of it. That is a.
Well, that was also because it was 5 steps and they fixed the grade. Think
I
about
know
what we
what
did.
they've done is they've taken the front out, but I don't think that would imply that the original steps were 36 inches or 37 inches or so. Because there's a landing there. Actually, there's another step that pushes out.
This sounds like 2 separate issues though then, because so I just want to make sure I'm clear. Is it more that you want them to have the railings because it needs to be up to code, or is it more that you want the hand railings because you think that it would be historically more appropriate for the property?
Both.
I'm happy to share the final approval from Arlington County with respect to this issue, if that's helpful.
You can definitely email that to me, RJ. It sounds like, I mean, Alex, are you okay with it going on the discussion agenda?
Especially if you can share the final approval, then I think that this could just be consent. If there's a problem, or not, if there's an issue with how high it is, having a railing on stairs, I don't think that makes something less welcoming. I think that, Bing Tom famously said that a hand railing is an architect's handshake to the visitor. And I think there's something accessible about that, and it really helps to lengthen that entry. But it's not a requirement, and it's not in the guidelines, so it's your call. So consent agenda seems appropriate.
Cool.
So why don't we we'll do a little bit of digging. We'll get in contact with you, Andy, about what we find out, and let's figure out then where we are. And we'll let Mr. Eckert and Mr. West know also once they send us theirs. If it seems like it's okay, then. So we're kind of at a choose your own adventure moment. So we appreciate your patience as we get a little bit more information before we let you know where this lands on the agenda for the HLRB during December.
McCall, would you like me to should I send them to you, McCall? Michael,
Yes.
I'm sorry. You know what? I'm sure I'm botching your name, Michael.
It's
My
okay.
apologies.
It's all
I'm
right.
so sorry.
It's okay. It's Michael. If you could send
Yeah.
me the notice you mentioned, that would be perfect. And we'll take a look, and then I will follow up with both you and Mr. Uckert via email after the meeting and talk to you about next steps.
We'll scan that and do that today, Michael. My apologies about your name. All right, I'm sorry. I know
That's
better.
okay. It happens all the time. I'm very
I
used to
can
it.
only imagine.
Okay.
Do we need to have a discussion though about the rails or other railings or anything done as it all meets the guidelines? It's just a retroactive.
The other railings.
Sorry, the side railings, because they're not metal, now they're wood.
Yes. But they meet the guidelines. Okay. So, and you all didn't have any issues with the ones that are on the side. Okay. No, it's okay. All right. Anything else with this project?
No.
All right. Okay. Well, Mr. Uckert and Mr. West, thank you so much for attending. I'll follow up with you both, and we'll come to a decision as to what agenda, either consent or discussion, we will go on for the December HALRB meeting, which is happening on December 20th.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Again, my apologies about the whole mix up. I have no excuse. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay. So our next project is with Walker Chapel. If you guys would like to join us. All right. So this is the LHD Walker Chapel and Cemetery. It's located at 4102 North Leaf Road. And this is for COA 1927B. So there are several elements to this project that we will go through. And Lauren, there's nobody else online, right? Okay, so these are our applicants. If you want to introduce yourselves.
My name is Larry Danforth. I'm the manager of the cemetery. I'm on the leadership board and a trustee of the chapel and a volunteer. With me tonight is James Wright. He is our chapel architect in every sense of the word. He is a fellow of the American Institute of Architects and holds a certificate in NCARB. He also is a volunteer. And tonight, we're sort of catching up on ourselves because we got caught.
Didn't get
Michael
caught.
came and visited us and said, so this is sort of the tail end of a project that is 5 years long. And if you include the talking points, it's probably 7 years long. But we are at the very end of it. And just a few things left to do. And we're going to brief you on those tonight. So I'll turn it over to James. He is additionally our construction manager, so he's intimately aware of all the details and did all the drawings.
Yeah, we separate responsibilities, kind of planning phase and more less execution phase. And the only credential to add is that I'm also the church leadership board and trustee.
Oh, yes, I meant to mention that.
In fact, I'll be the chair.
In fact, he's going to be the chair of the leadership board next year.
So these are church people.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming in person this evening. So I've got the application online, so we can go through item by item if you'd like to describe the different elements. So why don't we start with the electrical equipment,
Yes.
if that works.
Yeah, it's the big one. We have one big one, I think 4 relatively minor ones, and then a new thing. It's a brand.
Yep.
Okay. But yeah, the electrical one, I know causes some consternation. It used to be, so we have the same amperage, it's 120 amps. We're not bringing any more power to the site. But that was 50 years ago, and it was residential standard. So the same type of equipment goes in now, but it's bigger, and it's commercial. The drawings conflicted. The permit drawings, you reviewed primarily the landscape. And they showed it in plan on the wall. But in elevations, it wasn't shown at all. The civil engineering drawings, which in the building permit comes first in order, in sequence. The civil engineering drawings showed it freestanding in the little space where the two curves come together. And what the reason why during construction we did it, all the power to the site comes into the drive, underground from North Lee Road. So that's always been the case. But we looked at the curved walls, looked at the equipment, new equipment, even though it's the same elements that would go back. We started to be nervous about the beautiful stone wall we just built. We spent $1 million building the wall, and now we're going to go and we're going to stick electrical panels on. So I personally was more aligned with, look, let's hold it all. Let's get them close back in as we can, but allow to get back in there. So you can go point joints in the future. You're not trying to, get behind an electrical panel or take them down to just repoint. Because this is a massive stone. It's a gravity, it's solid stone, and it's just mortar joint on the face. So while there'll be very little maintenance in this kind of wall, there's a little. It'll be just at the joints. So we've got these stainless steel supports. Comes up out of the ground. So we follow the civil drawings to be short. And you see what we have. And that is actually does not, when that photograph is taken, it doesn't have, I added the red lines of some boxes, panels that are not yet there. And so we get power underground, and then we go back underground for all the distribution. So we're not running conduit along the sides of walls or anything like that. While there's so many great advantages of this massive stone wall we have, one disadvantage, you can't run conduit. Or at least not very easily. We did manage to do it for wall lights. But the major distribution, we couldn't. So this, of course, you saw and notice that, yeah, it's different from the planned location on the landscape. And as we analyze this, what I wanted to, first I looked at various ways to try and screen it. And what's really unfortunate is because we've got so much conduit coming in and going out underground, you can't do anything with deep roots. Our electrician reminded us that Dominion Energy will not let you have anything 36 inches of plant material in front of their meters. So we respected all of that, and then of course there's a height requirement. The meter's got to be 4 feet 6 inches high off the ground. So we looked at some that did not make this report, some options. This one did. These are manufactured items. They're typically used like at restaurants when they have sidewalk dining, you kind of carve out their space. And here we would have, and they're basically potted plants that fit in there. And it would not go up and cover the meters, but what it would do is cover all the conduits, up and down, bottom part. So your eye would tend to look at all that. These first, before. That was the first idea. Then the second idea, which, was to, well, let's disguise it. And the thing that struck me is it's very much the project I had here in Bethesda. Just take a moment to, this is the Capitol Crescent Trail, part of Bethesda. This is a car dealership, and they started construction of, they expanded their parking deck out. And Montgomery County, they had permitted all this. Community was in uproar, they shut them down. We got hired to come in and try and save what we could save. And what we did was, we had this elaborate framing system that we designed that would just literally attached to apartment structure. And what we end up with is this. And yeah, so it's a totally different experience now. And everyone was happy, and we got permits from everybody. And not always easy. We did. So I thought, well, okay, this is many times smaller than this, but the same principle. And I'm actually going to, I can just do this now, share with you. From this point, I wanted to study this more. Oh, the other thing is, just compositionally, I wanted to, so I call the big one, big frame display center. So this would be changeable. It's like a scrim. This is, it's a sample of it. It's PVC. This is used on building wraps, DRC construction projects, and they got, this is the stuff they use. So you can print on this, and that's what all this is. This is a sample from this project. We went through many options on what that pattern was going to be. Find those. That's the material, but then how to support it. I've done some. I did some, since I submitted last week. So these are all going to be new.
That'd be perfect.
So this studies it in a lot more detail. The first page shows you what's there now. These are as-built conditions. Except there are 2 panels not yet located, the timer and the low voltage transfer. They're not yet on here, but I put them on this one. I mean, they're not yet constructed, but I put them on this. So the next page shows then an elevation. It shows this sort of big frame. And then in the section, I show the framing. And what it's using is this. This is non-conductive fiberglass. And this is exactly the same size channel as the stainless steel that's there now. But I wanted this for 2 reasons. I wanted non-conductive and I wanted it lightweight. So in section, I'm showing how I would literally just sit this thing on the existing frame. Leave the back open because we have panel access from the back. That's one of the advantages of having this freestanding is that you have panels both sides. And as it's built, the main switch panel is on the back side. So we have access all around. It's completely open on the back, so you don't have to do anything to get to it. The way I described this concept was it'd be much like this. In fact, I didn't realize until just now, that's about the size. You notice the vertical lines. For those would have been from the head, we would keep it, and then we would have slits to cut it. So that to read the meter is, oh, there it is. Or, to get to a circuit box, there it is.
So it's kind of like a curtain?
It is.
Okay.
In fact, our pastor calls it the scrim. Yeah. What I've thought would be better, though, and I've got that as you go on, is no, let's do this. Let's just always have a viewport in our, so the composition of what goes in here, which can be anything from seasonal themes to church season themes like Advent, to just, photos or preschool, whatever. You can go in there. But just always compose it so that there's a cutout for the meter. Because that's really going to be the most need to see what this is screaming. When someone does need to go back because a breaker tripped or something, a circuit breaker tripped, this would be an entire curtain. And it would have a dowel right at the bottom. That would be just below this in my section. A little harder. All this stuff slips right down behind you. So you would just lift that out and push it over the top. Just hang it on the little roof, the little pitched roof platform. So that you have access to everything. And I've also added 2 views in perspective. Because it's along the driveway. So the church is here. We have parking along the driveway, but the parking lot is where this view is taken from. It's the parking lot. And then the other view looks the opposite direction. So this is going to church, parking lot, we're going to church. The other one, we had a great service, worship service. And now we're heading back to our car. So the message center here, it's a new element, but I thought since this thing is probably going to be quarterly, this would be changed. We like it like every week. It's like our church signboards out front, which that's my first experience with HALRB. That was 25 years ago. So this would just be a very simple message center here. The reason for pitched roofs, this is Walker Chapel, the first one, fourth attire, 1871. Because we've had 3 churches. The current one that's there now, this 1871, and this circa 1903, which pretty much was where the current church sits. It was close to it. This church is actually just over this view. So it's literally possible to get to the site of the first church. So I just like the idea of putting little pitched roofs on this rather than just have a flat top. Intentionally trying to not make it look contemporary, not make it look industrial. So it's more residential. So that's the long short of it.
It says here also a plan view with a retaining wall mounted option. Is that a third?
Yeah. So I've added that because I felt that this one probably didn't do it justice. So again, what I wanted to do was, now that I went out there and measured all the panels, I wanted to show them in scale from plan on the wall, and then in elevation on that curved wall. So there's a little parallax, because that's curving in, that's curving out. In that.
So this would be a third option of how to, so rather than screen it, to relocate it
Correct.
into the wall.
Yes.
So this would be, there are 3 separate options of how to treat
Yes.
this element of the project.
The second option is the only one that actually hides the
Yes.
And there's a tremendous amount of traffic that goes by that little niche. Marvelous idea to
It's
use
really
it.
clever. It's a fun way to address something that we're always doing. An ugly meter, you always come up where you just want it. And so this is really clever. I think it's interesting. You guys got some concerns about how well it gets maintained? And do people actually change it regularly, or does it end up?
Well, we can make that part of the, as I stated in there, minimum of quarter. So every 3
Right.
months, you would change it.
Is it just printing on the scrim, or?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, obviously, it's a specialized printing process. But, yeah, I work very closely with the vendor on this. This is all printed in Washington, D.C.
Cool. I'm really curious. where you
They call
got
it
that.
grand format. Grand
All
format.
right,
And it's used for building numbers.
nice.
But you can bring down the scale too. They don't have to do it.
And in terms of just a rod makes sense. Just if it's windy, does that come out?
No, because my detail is, it slips behind the frame.
I saw it on the top, but on the bottom, it doesn't
You know,
look like.
it slipped behind.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I need to like actually make it detail.
Well, I thought the idea of covering it up and using it for signage makes a lot of sense. I think the second option just addresses the needs of your community really well. I think it's a great idea. I wonder if it's possible, because you've got these two walls that are coming in, it's really a cool angle, it's a cool moment. You really celebrated that moment, maybe even did a curved panel. Not a curved panel, I know that would have a different ramification for that, but maybe an inverted curve there. It wouldn't necessarily be a changed scrim, but if it were just a signage that said, welcome to the church, welcome to our program, almost just like a wall. It would be a little bit more passive and not as creative, but it does seem to go with that geometry, and you wouldn't have to maintain it the same way.
So I was sort of, geometry-wise, talking to the sidewalk, which obviously is, has one little kink in it here.
Sure.
It's otherwise straight. I'm also thinking, I don't know, I'm trying to use, because I mentioned I didn't bring a sample of it, PVC composite board.
Okay.
So nothing's ever going to rot in this thing.
Like a track.
Never going to peel, yeah. So it's going to be as close to maintenance-free as you know how it's designed. But I don't know how to frame a curved piece.
Well, not necessarily for a framed changeable sign. If you're attached to the changeable aspect, then that makes a lot of sense. But if it's just a welcome sign, welcome to.
Oh, you mean
our
forever
church.
static? I think our pastor really liked the idea of being able to change.
We already make signs for the front of the church.
Okay.
The solid vinyl, the vinyl letters and everything that we cut out on this big graphic machine would paste to those also. So we would be changing the sign.
Okay. That seems to make sense. Is it necessary to have the cutout for the meter? It seems like it had.
I'm pretty sure it is. Dominion Energy's been interesting to work with on this project.
Yeah.
They are very, very specific about everything. They can't share conduits with anybody else, and all kinds of things. I'm assuming the worst,
Okay.
that someone's got to walk up, not have to use arms, anything, just look at the meter. So I'm assuming worse with this later option I documented here. They won't have to do this.
But they have to lift, do they have to lift the panels up?
No.
To get access,
No.
they just,
No.
it just, okay. But even that effort, will they do that effort?
Well, that's why I think the one that I have documented here, not in this, is better.
Because it's one solid piece with the cutout
Yes,
hole, it's
yes.
no longer the curved
That's right.
effect. Okay.
That's right.
Okay. And they can't just flip the meter so that they could look at it with the backside.
I'm almost positive that they would allow it to mount a meter that against the wall.
Is this against the wall?
Yeah, I mean, there's a space, but someone's really got to go back there. And,
Okay, okay.
yeah, you get it's like 14 inches or something. I wanted it as tight to the walls we would get it, just so a work person could get back there if they're repointing the gravel walls. We don't want kids coming back there. It's not like
nice to mount it on the side, but right now it looks like a cyclops with one eye.
Sure. So the one thing I would like to, so we'll obviously discuss or kind of see if the commissioners have any questions with the other options, and maybe we can come to a determination of which one, or which few should come forward to the full board. But I think for this one in particular, I would encourage you all to start having conversations with zoning pretty soon, because I worry that there will be elements to this design that may not, I've got code questions and things like that, and I want to make sure that they are going to be okay with it before we approve something, it goes forward to them, they say it's not possible, and then you all have to come back for a different design. So I think having conversations with them simultaneously might be beneficial, just to see what they would be comfortable with and what fits the regulations for the county.
Okay. Can do that. I assume that there's an informal process that allows that to happen.
I mean, we might be able to connect you all to it, but I don't know if they would need this to be submitted to Arlington in order for them to review it.
We'll look into it a little bit more to see who we could at least put you in contact with, or if it's somebody that we could ask a question about it, like casually as colleagues, and try to get some more answers. I don't want you to go too far down the line and then it not be something that's a viable option for other reasons.
One of the questions I have, that you mentioned that you have banners and whatnot, do you guys need to get a sign permit if you are doing like,
Signage.
I mean, it is a sign because you're putting information on it. Now, if it's art, that's different.
That's what I'm trying to get at too.
Okay.
Yeah, this might be
Yes.
something to sign.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it just might mean there's different permits you might have to apply for in addition, and all of that. So
If that's the case, and if you're not able to get your information from any members of our colleagues on that, and if this was to go to the HLRB for discussion, there might be ways for them to form the language that, with an understanding that there might be some adjustments that need to occur based on what the review may be, if a sign permit is required, or a different permit is required for it.
I
Okay.
believe there's a size.
Yeah,
you know,
I
if
think
it's under a
so.
certain size.
If it's under a certain size, or even a
And
certain.
also, this is totally on private property. It's not viewable from the street by the public.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have all the signage requirements down, but it can be how it's mounted, as well as the size, as well as the, how high it is. No, this is not the case. We're not talking about a blade sign in a building, but if we're not able to get that
It's worth
information in enough time before the HLRB meeting, that might be something that could be an option, but if not, then it might delay you all.
Andy, did you have any thoughts on these options?
Well, first of all, kind of clarification, these are right back against the stone wall.
No, there's,
They're
you can walk, you can barely get back behind it. It's like maybe this wide behind.
This photo right here.
At its narrowest point, at its narrowest point.
So if they need to do any work, how much space would we have?
Oh, the person can get back here.
Because there is a requirement in terms of electrical, how much, I can't remember what it is, but it's probably at least.
Did you say 36 inches? Isn't that what you said?
Yeah.
It wasn't electrical, it was on the meter. Dominion Energy had to have 36 inches clear in front of their meters. So the meters on this side. This is the tightest point. This is quite wide, and obviously this is very wide. This is the circuit. This is the big breaker. So power comes up to the meter, from the meter out, it goes here, and then it gets distributed to to the other panels.
In other words, the front of it's totally open.
Yeah.
The back of it, the only thing there is the switch, turn it on and off. And it probably has 36 inches to the niche in the wall there.
Listen, it's a shame that we couldn't just go around the back because those actually face towards the sidewalk, right? All the panels are open from the sidewalk.
One of the versions had it on the front.
Yeah.
This version happens to have it on the back.
I mean, the panels actually are accessible from the rear, or the.
All the panels are accessible from the front,
Yeah,
from the
okay.
sidewalk.
Okay, so that, you've got the clearance if you remove this to get at it, okay. I was, you know, it would have been nice to have worked this out before they put their stuff on, because it was nice to just go around the back of this.
But you can put all the panels on the back of the. Yeah, I see what you're saying, yeah.
It's quite expensive to do that.
I think we were concerned about the accessibility of it. If we put too much on the backside, that would raise.
Why not just put it on a door? Like, build a frame, put a door in front of it, and have a
So
little handle.
it's like a closet, basically.
Essentially, you don't have to have it back of the closet,
Yeah.
but that way when the guy comes to check it, just
I know.
Nice and
But
simple.
again, it's like, that's gonna, more people want, what is that? You know, is that, this, they're clearly,
that's the truth.
you know, we light it in the evening because, again, as you know, when it's dark at 5 o'clock this time of year, we don't got no lights at all, so it's pitch black. But even when we have power, with the parking lot lights, and we're reinstalling the same that we had before, this is proposed to be illuminated. So again, it's a little bright spot along the way. So I saw it as, you know, a really good promotional opportunity. Just, you know, what's going on with the life of the church. We have, our driveway is the old league. Everyone that lives there uses this to walk the dogs, and jog, and walk, and other people. So there's a lot of non-church traffic that come through here too.
Police like to hang out in our parking.
Yeah. Yes, drivers.
I have so many questions with Pepco now and how they do their work, because now I'm kind of curious, do they need to actually see a panel? Because what if they can't locate it? Because we've covered it up so much, and it's, I mean, nobody wants to see
Well, his
electrical conduits
proposal,
and
they
panels
would see.
because of this though.
Yeah, that is the actual fixed meter.
But is that
Really not.
It should be,
enough?
because it's in a cabinet. Meter is in a cabinet. The photos that we have, the meter itself is not yet installed, but this is the meter cabinet. This is all glass. That's the meter.
Okay.
That's got the data, the readings. So there's no need to see all of this. If for some reason they needed to change the meter, well, it's just like changing any of these. We just lift this whole thing up and, you know.
You could take one other approach is to do like something done on the interior of the church, which is to have 2 doors, both ends are triptych, masonry work. So you have that, so you could have literally a panel, 2-panel door, open whole thing up, have all your clearance, and you can put whatever artwork, instead of being on the inside, open doors and see the artwork, if you will. And the artwork would be on the outside of the doors before you open them.
That's what you're saying.
It's just a thought, but I mean, I think this is an intriguing way of doing it. I wish they either put it further back, but still have room to repair the wall. But, so it's not might not be close to the sidewalk. And then you might be able to do the work from the rear and have a conventional, have a signboard or something there. But I mean, this is, I think this is an interesting approach. I certainly don't think it's unattractive. I think it's actually fairly homeless. It's not at all ostentatious. So it won't be mistaken for a piece of artwork. It's just a shame that Union Power or whatever doesn't want to work with people in terms of where meters go. It's kind of
Well, just to touch the base, we will inquire. So I can say that we did ask. I'll get a contract.
Sounds like this will probably be brought to the whole board for discussion.
Well, so that was my question is, should they bring all three options that you all have seen, so the one that goes in the wall? No.
My recommendation is no. My suggestion is you all determine out of the three which ones you prefer. It's kind of how we tend to do it when we're going to the HALRB. Unless you really are divided on which options you like.
I think we can take out the one on the wall. I think leaving it open. If you got a good alternative, then why put it on the other wall? I think that if we bring it to HALRB, one thing that we might want to address with the second option is, not that I don't trust you guys to change it every 3 months or make sure that if it falls off that it goes back up, but what does it look like if it falls off, if someone steals it, if someone, whatever that happens, does it just look like a meter with frame, which is fine, but this is something that we're approving in perpetuity. So what does it look like in 20 years? On that note, in case the rest of the board doesn't, has concerns, because I think it's cool trailblazing maybe, bringing the hedge option as a backup is safe.
I'm sorry, which one?
Bringing
This
the hedge
option.
option.
Okay.
Backup.
Okay.
I might not even lead with that because I think people are going to get cozy. Go ahead and start with the second option and see what people think. And then if people get scared, you can say, okay, we've got a backup. But I definitely would like to see how the aesthetics of it would be addressed if the scrim falls or is not replaced.
I think the board is actually would be quite interested in seeing this because we've had long reviews of this church site and we've encouraged the walls. Those all so it has a long track record in terms of we'll look at it and then they get the board's feedback if somebody says they really like this or that, they'll go back on so they, because I think they would like to be part of this. It's an interesting project. And I think it illustrates the problem that often occurs. Nice if we could get Union Power to consolidate beforehand where they might want to put it, because we would be, we're talking about electric charging stations for cars, and we're talking about where to put them so you don't see them, whatever. they can get a building permit. I'm sure you can post it. So I'd like to, as a board, review it, not necessarily approve it, but provide some input, come back. So I think this is an interesting approach. I would have taken the trip kick approach. But
Thank you.
I think the only thing I want to bear with me, I'm going to just play devil's advocate a little bit, if that's okay. And it's just a matter of, with the design of this, I think the input from the DRC on, because I feel like you guys are gravitating more towards the frame in the box option than the planters. I do like the idea of having that as a backup, but I'd like to steer away, if this was to go to the HLRB, that we then get 10 opinions of, did you think of this? Did you do this? Did you do that? Create, do the doors. Maybe it's an art. Maybe it's an LED screen. I don't want there to be too much. When we're talking about screening over a utility system, that is to the back of the church. That is not in direct view, really, much from the public right of way. So that's the only thing I just want to make sure there is any way that maybe this could go on consent, because it is just a screening kind of approach that we're looking at. And do we want to have multiple opinions on how other ways you could screen?
Or maybe because there are other elements to this project.
Okay.
So maybe we come back to that after we go through the rest to try to figure out if those items are also viable.
Just throw it out.
Yeah, no, I is it? Okay.
Well, I think they're interested just because we're so invested in this property. We
Right,
love
yeah.
seeing the improvements that you have been doing, which is,
Mhm.
you guys are such great stewards. We really love it.
Thank you. So
The
we
other
want
things
to,
are really minor.
yeah, but we took them as important. So tried to provide all the data, all the backup here. The primary reason we couldn't use what was specified in the way it was wall mounted, again, had to do with the way the wall was constructed. The landscape architect did the drawings. They assumed it was all cast in place and stone veneer. Cast in place, you can run the conduit, no problem, you can come out both sides. But we have massive stone wall, so we can't run the conduit. So that's why we went to step ones that we did.
A stone wall probably was longer.
Well, yeah,
The neighbors are,
yeah, true. But again, it was just how to get power to those lines.
So you can see on the screen what has been installed as the step lines.
Versus the alternative, which was.
They're very small.
Which are these, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I know what you're saying.
They're very small.
You see this more like on decks, like those little.
They are deck lights, and that's also concerned us. We weren't going to get enough illumination out of it. Because this is what was also specified for the entire wall on that driveway.
And this is what has been installed instead, so I'll zoom in over here.
Yeah.
It's hard to see. But these are the lights that have been installed in the wall, and the reasoning for the hood over top too is to provide less of a direct beam out, but to do more guided light on the
And these
sidewalk.
are dark sky approved. Yeah, the others are just light out.
Great. Seems
These don't shine,
Consent agenda, right?
yes.
Okay.
but they flood the sidewalk with light.
Perfect.
Okay, so we can move on to the wall signage then. So this was another really minor change. So what had been approved, so you can see it right here, there's an inscribed part of the wall, and that was approved in the original COA, but it was supposed to say Walker Chapel Memorial Garden, but what it
Well,
says
that's
now,
what the landscape designer put on the sign.
on the sign.
So that there were some words on it.
Okay,
Didn't know what we were called.
Okay,
This is our official name. It's in our checkbook, it's on our checks, it's in our bank.
perfect.
And
It
we
makes the
thought,
public more aware too.
Sure.
and that's what everybody calls it.
Sure.
And James moved the circa whatever on there because that's what's on the main sign, main gate. So it's sort of consistent.
Do I have any
It looks great.
questions? Not great to me. Okay,
You can see that thing from half a mile away.
it does look very good.
I was gonna say that name's historical. We're good.
So the next item is parking lot lights. This, correct me if I'm wrong, so the original was for 5 existing parking light fixtures, but there's actually 4 that have been reinstalled, and so that's the only changes. It went from 5 to 4, correct?
Well, no, the plans were incorrect.
Oh, the plans were.
There were
incorrect.
always 5.
Okay,
We didn't realize that the landscape drawings only showed 4. The
Oh,
civil showed
okay.
5, landscape showed 4.
okay,
So we just wanted you to be aware that the same 5, and we reconditioned them the best we could. We didn't have to buy new heads, but they're the same type of heads, and it also allows us to relamp these
okay.
fixtures on those. So visually, they're the same. And we just wanted to be sure we were cleaned up this difference in the number of lights.
Thank you. That'll be good for our record keeping. Okay, the next item is about plantings, and I actually need to look into this a little bit further because I'm not sure this needs review. So you might not even need to. So I believe that the reason it was on the original COA, which I think is why you're bringing it forward again now is for consistency, is because there was the removal of a couple of trees, correct?
There was a real specimen cherry tree.
Right, right. So I think that the reason you're bringing it forward now is just to highlight some of the changes to things, but I'm not entirely certain that that would even need review. I don't want to set precedent for that to be reviewed in the future if it's not necessary. So I'm going to do a little bit more digging on that one, and then we can take it out of the application if we need to, because I'm not entirely convinced it needs to be reviewed.
I was just wanting to make it clear that
Absolutely.
if you go there and check the landscape architecture planning plan with what is now planted, as the trees are in, you'll see the difference. Just wanted to be honest.
Yeah, really appreciate it. And then the last item has to do with this ramp here. So you see it right here. And this isn't pretty much a multi-access ramp for cars,
No, well,
pedestrians.
No private automobiles. This is for service vehicles
Mhm.
only. That's why we don't want to make it really apparent that it's a ramp you can drive on. Plus, it is the only way an emergency vehicle could get up to that level. There's no other access to the cemetery. Old League goes by, but our cemetery's sitting above it there. We're sitting way above the parking lot here. There's no access to the driveway. To the best of my knowledge, we've never had to get an ambulance up there. But this.
But we do take the grave digging equipment up there, which is the big shovel, pickup trucks, 1-ton concrete bolts, so it has to be.
And that's why you all are proposing to.
Yeah,
it's
this
on
was not in the
material.
original application, and it's not built. But they were ordering the equipment, they were ordering the stone, turf stone. So we would like to proceed with this.
Before the hill was held in place by bamboo, and our neighbor ripped out her part of the bamboo and offered to rip out ours too, which we said, great, go ahead and take it. And then we realized how big this ramp is. And so we put nice landscaping on both sides, and to leave it just ugly dirt gravel, sort of detracts from everything else we're doing.
But it's also what it is used for pedestrians, because before we built the stairs, there was no way to get up to the cemetery from this end of the parking lot, except go up that hill, which was oftentimes muddy. It was just really gravel. So this was a cleaner, all-weather. Because we used the parking lot, we had a little thing, we call it that, green space. We use that for all kinds of church functions, picnics, all that stuff. So people going from the church, many of them will come through the cemetery and up and down that hill. So this would also aid in just that kind of thing. It's our gift to the community because we encourage people to come walk the cemetery, and this is a real easy way to get up.
Out of curiosity, just because, absolutely makes sense. Do these come up or become a trip hazard if they become if it's erosion or rocks? They're just very sturdy. I've seen like a rubber version that goes into the grass and a little bit beneath it that allows an ambulance to have access. It's less of a trip hazard, less visually obtrusive. Not that I have a problem with this. I'm just worried about if it's a lot of pedestrians on it, it's a safety aspect.
I'm not aware. My firm, we use this a lot of big commercial projects.
On
Where we
slopes
got,
like this?
well, you said trip hazard, even flat, there are fire lanes. Fire lanes around buildings that we want to try and make go away. We use this product.
When they're flat, but you said this was a.
This is flat sloped.
Right, so I'm just wondering if this material is appropriate for a slope.
I think it would, there's an option for this. You can fill it with like pea gravel.
Yeah.
But that one, I think
Still
I
have to
would be
maintain it.
concerned about
Yeah.
that because it would tend to wash away. If we got this planted, even on this, and it's not a steep slope.
Okay.
I mean, this is from manufacturer's catalog, this is not our actual condition.
Sure, I've just never seen this on a slope, so I'm just wondering if, because there are other products available that allow ambulances or large trucks. It sounds like this gets a lot of pedestrian traffic, and I don't see any lighting, so I'm just wondering if people are up there
No,
in
there's-
twilight.
There's the new parking lot lighting, there's a light
You're gonna see
standard
It's only a trip in the
right
process.
by us.
We don't bury people in the dark.
Fair enough, I know what people do in dark and graveyard, but, I have no problem aesthetically with it and practically, as long as it's not a tripping hazard and it works on a slope. And the manufacturer seems to be marketing it that way. I've just never seen something like that. So,
But, so you guys are, so you're thinking of making this improvement because right now it's just a dirt hill.
Yeah.
And so this would be a big improvement. But you are also selling it in a way where it will allow emergency vehicles to be able to access that part of the burial ground, correct?
Mainly it's service vehicles.
Service
That
vehicles.
service vehicles
Okay.
happens on a regular basis.
Okay,
As I
that's,
said, I've been going to this church for 3 years. Once in a while.
no, but I mean, I like hearing the idea of there may be emergency vehicles being able to have access to it. However, going through requirements necessary at another local historic district that is residential property, there are very specific requirements that our fire and safety team now require for driveways and the widths to be able to withstand the weight of their vehicles and the width, the width of their vehicles. So I just I wanted to make sure that we
Well,
were,
since we're not required for that.
Yeah, okay.
We can design.
okay.
Because on like commercial projects, we are required.
Yeah.
And we do have to get coordination. with
Okay.
this.
The not required is all I had.
Yeah, and they all have concrete sub bases. This would not have concrete sub
Right.
bases.
I don't have anything. It's a good solution.
So I believe we've gone through all the elements for this COA amendment. So let's circle back to, it sounds like all these other elements are consent viable for the consent agenda, but how would you all like to approach the electrical system? Last we left it, there were two options. One, we just put the framework screening option on consent, or we have the two options presented. So the first being the framework, and then the second being the planter boxes. Is there a direction you all would like to take it in?
I think that's the one issue that the board was concerned with. Everyone was
Visible. Okay.
It's most visually. We're going to see this, the other things I'm not sure anybody's going to notice. This is visually a significant change. So I'd like to say that everything else is probably the same percentage of it, just this is major discussion.
Well, we'll keep it all together. So if this is the factor that has it go on the discussion agenda, we'll present it all as one piece on the discussion agenda. But the DRC can certainly say we had no questions or issues with any of the other elements with this project, but we wanted to bring this particular element forward for full discussion.
I think it might truly just be a consent. If the powers that be are okay with the whole, then the entire meter goes away and there isn't a problem and it becomes good signage for the church. If we put it on the consent agenda, anybody on the board who does have an issue with it could raise the issue, right?
Yeah, it could be pulled off consent at any time.
I'd be okay with putting it on consent, and I think it would be a great opportunity to share something that's really wonderful that people really care about. And if there are concerns, we can probably put it off.
Well,
Just
I mean,
run it
I
all
think the board should
one package.
put it in one package. But I think the board would really be interested in looking at this, and not just say, well, we approve it, it's an I really think this is open to some discussion. It's the most, I think it's a great idea, like I said, I would treat it differently. I think this is my option. But I just think the board would like to see it.
Documentation to fit what you would like us to do.
I can talk to you all about
Okay.
what elements we'll keep, what elements. I think since this is the piece you really want, if you could send this to me, I'll upload it into
Yes.
Permit Arlington and I'll make sure this gets included in the application. I'll get back to you on the plantings because I might be able to just take that out of the PDF. And I think it sounds like we can eliminate the inserting it into the wall option for this. So
So just go forward with one option, electrical.
I think really it's up to the DRC. I think if I had to give a staff opinion, I would say that we put it on discussion with the one screening option, only because it's always a little stressful to get something pulled off the consent agenda for the applicant as well as yourself. So I think trying to avoid that from happening, and my gut instinct is telling me that is potentially what could happen if someone would want more information, would want to discuss it further. Okay.
So we'll compartmentalize this discussion.
Okay. But you all would recommend it for approval to the HALRB as is? Sure. All right, so it'll go on the discussion agenda. I will follow up with an email with more details about the meeting that is happening on December 20th at 6:30, same room. And so you can come back in person and meet with everybody, or you're always welcome to join virtually as well. But I'll follow up with some of the other details and we'll get you squared away.
Very good.
Great.
And I'll be happy to modify anything, what you had on the screen, like if you determine the planting, I can do those modifications.
Okay, okay, perfect. And I do think that this would answer this. Were there materials in this, like the PC?
I do call them out.
In the notes you do? Okay,
Yeah.
great. I just want to make sure that we have material notes included as well.
I don't specify the colors. What we tried to do in, actually put a little red on this, Photoshop it into the photographs. I was, in the stone walls, got lots of different grays in it. It's got some that are really good brown. And, you know, I would keep doing like this, and I was like, oh, this is rough. And I think it's going to be a more gray that work, and we really have grays right now. But I think they're all going to be gray. What we depicted here, one's pretty brown, but it matches exactly several of the stones that are here. So it's a little subtlety. So I can't specify an actual paint color.
And that's okay because the HALRB can actually regulate paint colors.
Okay.
So it's good information to have. I'm sure somebody would maybe ask the question, but don't worry about having a specific shade outlined.
Yeah, you'll just be prepared to probably have a big love fest at that.
Well,
Probably get lots of
I would like
compliments
for that.
So I believe we can render.
Yeah.
Say like, what meter?
Yes, this is a very, very thorough and complete application, so thank you for your time and attention, because it really does make the process.
Well, thank you all for the cooperation.
Thank you.
Helping along the way here. Makes a big difference. I think this project did shrink. Many public hearings, people were violent and mad. This is the Capitol Crescent Trail. There's a real community about Capitol Crescent Trail. And this is Orsman. John Orsman, he built his dealership there before downtown Bethesda had a downtown. So he was there before the downtown was there, and downtown moved to him. He actually owns the land under the Capitol Crescent Trail, so he was so irate. So I had a lot of climbing to work on there too.
Great. Okay, well, thank you so very much for your time and for evening, all your thoughts and opinions.
Whatever you get on the first one, I'd like to see.
Yeah, we'll look into it and I can send you an email.
Because I think the code is, looks like those are 7-inch steps, 20 inches. And this was delivered,
So they didn't give us drawings, to show the measurements of it either, right?
Not as it stands, no, because it wasn't really required.
that makes it
for
tough.
the-
And you also look through and see what the
For that particular COA.
because I think,
Did you ever hear
I
about
think
that?
the wording is.
Yeah.
So maybe we build the relationship.
Well, there
Because I
were,
remember
there,
this, it was putting size for us anyway. So we have certain sort of things coming up. When you go to the house and sell.
Let us know.
it did, it appeared to have metal handrailings, but I think that the difference is in that Mr. West was mentioning it. We actually should probably stop talking about their project considering they're not here, but I think his point was that the grade has changed, and that was why they eliminated the need for the handrails. But we'll look into it, and I can follow up with more information, and we'll determine hopefully by the end of the week which agenda they can go on, and if not that, they'll go in discussion, and we can just talk about it with the HALRB.
So much, thank you.
Okay.
Are you all gonna be